Good morning. It's the first weekend in June, and I thought I'd take you out and show you what the garden looks like right now. It is particularly nice right now. We've had most of the spring flowers finish, and now some of those annuals that really hold you over are what are blooming. On this particular area, I have that topiary we bought, the mint julep juniper, and I underplanted it with some wave petunias, a potato vine, and an alyssum, and this pot is looking particularly good. The juniper, the top ball looks really nice, but the bottom ball, I'm not sure if you can see this, there's quite a bit of brown on the inside. I'm not totally sure what I've done. I'm hoping this survives. It was relatively expensive. Surrounding it is the fortnight lily. This one has the yellow flowers. And off to the side, right in here, looking pretty sad, are the Dutch iris. And I'm letting the foliage die back in preparation for next year's show. And the last thing here in this area are the agapanthus, and they are putting on a few bloom stalks right now. The next very beautiful thing going on right now is this lavender. It is so gorgeous. This first flush looks amazing, and I love it, and I think it's going to be great. And then when it comes back for its second flush, it's wah wah. See, this one right here isn't looking as good as the others, but I'll put a couple pictures of last fall when they looked super funky. But right now, oh, so beautiful, and it is teeming with bees. I don't know if you can see all the pollinators just rushing about on this. It is packed full of bees just going everywhere. Let's see, can I get any of these? I took some pictures the other day. I might put those on the screen. One of the other things is the gladiolus. They have started putting out their spikes. This one and the one behind it there both have flower spikes on them right now. Yeah. I have the Purpurea echinacea that I started from seed, but they are just taking their time. I have 5 here that I started from seed, and I know they're supposed to be slow to establish, but honestly I am really surprised at just how little growth I am seeing on these guys. I have here the sunshine ligustrum to mirror the sunshine ligustrum here, but I plan to keep this one a little smaller. The bearded iris, daylilies, I've tried to tie back the orange rocket because it was pulling forward and causing a lot of things to push forward as a result because it was shading it. The candy corn spirea and my blue arrow juniper. When I went to the garden center and asked what to do, they told me to bind it. So it's tied with jute string or twine for the time being. It has the shape it's supposed to, but I think it looks kind of silly. I don't know how long to leave it tied up, but it's looking good. Oh, can we see this? Butterfly. Anyway, distracted by the butterfly. And then behind it, all that yucky kind of grayish blue foliage is the dying back poppies that look horrible right now. I have been pulling them up around the garden, except for this little section here. I have removed, as you can see, I'm in the process, removed moved most of the poppies in this area. Before I finished removing everything, I wanted to come out here and do a quick video to show you what it looked like before. So this is what it looks like when the poppies die back. The flowers produce these spikes. They split apart when they dry and then drop their seeds. There's some on the ground that have broken apart. You just end up with these all over the place. There are little seeds inside that spray around, and then you have poppies for next year. What's looking kind of bad right now is the lemon balm. I'm going to cut back some of this too. It will flush back on its own, so it's super aggressive, so it should be more than happy to return. We also have my beautiful hydrangea. I need to pull some of the poppies out from around it so that it has less root competition. Looks like the flowers might be burning. Yep, I think it's drooping. It's relatively early in the day. I did cut back on the water and maybe it is not happy as a result. I was able to get in here and give this some water, and this is what the hydrangea looks like. It's in the shade now and all these flowers are opened up and not wilted. It's much happier. This is supposed to be the reblooming spirea. So you can see here a few more flower spikes and the pink flower, and this is what it looks like when the flower dies back. It's just kind of like a brown blob. Moving on to the orchard area, this is the pink satin pomegranate, and I did get quite a few flowers. They are a lighter color flower, a little more orange than the wonderful pomegranate. I don't know if any of them took or not. I don't see anything quite developing into a pomegranate yet. I found one. So right here, this one was pollinated and I have a pomegranate developing. This is exciting. I might actually get a couple. I think I see maybe 2 on the plant. Henry peach is doing really well. We had a windstorm a while back and the heaviness of all the fruit on the branches really caused it to splay. So I have several supports here under the branches, but I've got tons and tons of fruit. And I did a lot of thinning, hundreds. I took off at least 100, maybe more. The cotton candy apium, and I actually have found about a dozen fruit on the tree at this point. They are getting close to being ready. A couple have fallen off and I've eaten them and they have tasted really good. So I am excited to see what it's like when they're fully ripe. All right, the wonderful pomegranate, the last fruit tree. Here, you can see here that these flowers are a little brighter, much more red than the pink satin. And I think a few have been pollinated. At least I thought I saw them. So we might get fruit this year. Not sure. Oh, here, somebody hard at work. So part of the reason I'm clearing this area out is I've decided the wave petunias that I put in this pot are not happy, and I'm gonna take them out and place them over here next to that juniper, the skyrocket juniper, and then let that area fill in with the pink and white. Well, turns out that pot was bone dry. I pulled the plants out and they had no moisture whatsoever in the pot. So I watered the pot in after I was done, added new mulch, and replaced the drip. Anyway, I planted the petunias, watered them in really good, added some slow release fertilizer and new mulch, and made sure I had drip to them. So fingers crossed that they rebound. I mean, they're not dead, so they should be fine, and they're pretty hardy plants. All right, Shasta daisies. So I moved these last year. They were not happy, but this year they are looking beautiful. So my fingers are crossed that I continue to get a really lovely show here. With the arbor and the rose, they just make a little beautiful vignette right here. And of course, the foxglove is finishing its season. I saw Linda Vodder collecting the foxglove seeds and drying them separately. So I might try doing that with some of these instead of letting them dry back here on the stems. The last elephant in the room in this area is the huge patch of bearded iris here. Now, I thinned this not that long ago. When I thinned it, it was like 3 or 4 levels thick in some areas. And it came back in the second year and looked really good, but I think I was too greedy. I tried to keep too many, and it's too much. So what happens is I just don't get the number of blooms, there isn't good distribution of water, and I can't get in there and take care of the patch. So I can't weed, I can't keep things looking good. So I need to thin and just let a bunch of them go this next year. I'm not sure if this is very visible in here, but I plant mine. This area doesn't get a ton of sun. It gets enough sun, but not a ton. I plant mine with the tubers above the ground so that they can absorb the sun to produce flowers. So part of what's happened is this has gotten so thick that the tubers and the plant don't get enough sun. Now it's in the sun right now, but it's the morning. And then it gets maybe a hit in the afternoon, but I don't think it's quite enough to really support the plant. Note that I have a macrophylla hydrangea here, which is perfectly happy because it gets a ton of shade. So this is a little too much shade for this amount of bearded iris, but I can definitely improve this patch by reducing the number of tubers in this area. The flower box is looking pretty good. The 2 potato vines I planted are doing good. This escallonia is not happy. It is dropping tons of leaves. My guess is it's either too wet or the soil is too fertile, potentially, for the escallonia here. This is the dwarf Gara that I took out of the Costco bed last year. And of course, my sweet peas, they are looking beautiful, and I do love how divine they smell. And I've been creating little arrangements and keep them in a small vase in the house. But I've been enjoying them. I didn't intend for them to all be white, but apparently that's all that germinated. I actually bought a bunch at the store and planted them, but you know, they say they don't like to have their roots touched. So only ones that are surviving are the ones that I planted from seed. So my blueberries are forming blueberries, and I got a couple, and some were good, some were too sour, so I was waiting longer, but the birds keep snatching them all. And I saw these on a video from Kyle from Urban Farmstead and ordered them immediately. He seemed to say these were working for him, so we'll see if I get some of these blueberries. The pink satin doesn't need it yet. Pink satin, no, pink lemonade. As I keep finding what is the style I enjoy in my yard, I have purchased a couple topiaries that were on sale at the store and a euonymus, and I'm looking for some pots to do a kind of a little trio here. Talked about the fountain before. It is running, and I'm sure you've heard it in the background. And the vegetable garden is looking good. Everything germinated. It's all looking really good. I even have my first cantaloupe vine growing, and this should be interesting. I did this because of Angela from Growing in the Garden, so we'll see if that works for me, using the ladder mesh and stuff for that. All my tomatoes, the zucchinis, I've actually already harvested a few zucchini. Got the cucumber, eggplant, and peppers going over here, but everything's looking good. This setup is interesting. So my neighbor's windows create a reflection at the end of the day that hits a bunch of these plants, and so I have put this here to try and create a block. I need to figure out something better, but my pot with the begonias, and I believe this is a something lily, I can't remember the name, and the clematis. Look at these guys. It's looking a little wilty. I probably need to get some water over here, but they're beautiful. Maybe I'll put a picture of one when it looks a little better. I need to probably water. I think everything's tired and needs water. All right, I just checked my watering schedule, and yes, they do need to be watered. The last thing is the chalpa, which I shared with you the other day. And so, but these little orchid-like blooms are just beautiful. I love looking. Look at that little, can you see this? The throat with the little yellow stripe through it. So pretty. It's probably lasted maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. The spent blooms look like this. The last of the flowers down this west side of the house, they've got the Limelight Prime, still no flowers showing up, and 2 reblooming azaleas. This one, the front one, is looking pretty good, but the back one seems to have some struggles. I don't understand why. I've checked, it gets water. Although, as we just discussed, my water schedule is a little off. I'm not sure why, but the flowers were beautiful when they came in this year. So we're going to end right here. It's pretty much the entire garden here for the first weekend in June. And this is the square with the red bud in it and the petunias and stuff. I have several echinaceas in here that are just not taking off. I think that does it for me today. Thank you for joining me for my garden journey, and I will see you in the next one.